Hello, all. Welcome to the top 100 interview questions for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and React. In the previous part, in the part the fifth, we have completed the React class base. So in this part, we are going to complete the React hook base. And in the hooks are like the modern features. Most of the interview questions you're going to get in that only. Okay, because if it's a new company, they're going to get hooks only, use hooks only. Okay, new project, they're going to get use hooks only, nothing else. So let's get started. Let me share my screen and let's get started. You can see my screen. I actually have just created a new React project. I'm not even opened it, just created with this and just cd to it, and then I'll open it with VS Code with the code dot, and then and VM start also I'll do. Let me move it here, and then VM start. So that is more than enough. So let me go here and do the some necessary setup. I will remove this react.strict mode because what it does, it like print the log 2 times. Okay, so that is there. Then just I'll go to this app.js, and in this app.js, what I'm going to do, let me make this a bit more smaller and this a bit more bigger. So in this app.js, I will remove all this header and all, and we'll start fresh from here. Not much things we're going to do, and we're going to do create a new folder called components also. Okay. So what is the first interview question in hooks? What will be the first interview question? The first interview question is obviously the first interview question is what is the use state hook? So what is the use state hook? So let us understand what is the use state hook, and you can give like a theoretical answer that the use state hook is the equivalent of the state in a class-based component, and it is used to give local state in a functional component. They can be used only in the functional component. Okay, so that is there, but that is okay. But as I've always tell, like if the interviewer allows you to share the screen and show your VS Code, it's always better to write it as a program. And also another thing, sometimes what happens, the interviewer will give it on a whiteboard. So in a whiteboard, you can explain these things. Okay, so what we are going to do, basically, we're going to create a use state hook. So I will do a hook counter dot js, and then RAFCE, because I'm using a extension RFCE, and here I'll go here and do a hook counter like this and save it. So hook counter is been shown. Okay, so that is done. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the use state hook. So here what I'm going to do is const count comma set. Suppose this whole count is there, count comma set count is this. So what is this count comma set count? Like complete it. So then this is the syntax. So the interviewer can ask you the syntax also. They can definitely ask you the syntax. Either you write on a whiteboard or you share the screen and show this thing. So this is the syntax, okay, of the use state hook. It's a bit different than what you have the state in the class-based component. Now here, what I'm going to do here inside this, I will have a button. Okay, so this button will be there, and this button can show the hook count as hook count as count like this. Save it. So this the hook count is been shown. It's better to do one thing like this. Maybe this hook count have a increment button, and this one actually this hook count, this count. So this is how you show states. Okay, this count is actually a state. The moment we have this like use state hook, what happens, like it start behaving like the render. It can rerun again and again once the state is updated. Okay, but let us understand this statement. What is this count and set count? So this count will be initial. This is what we're using here. We're using array destructuring here, array destructuring. So this count is equal to 0. Initially the count is equal to 0, and this set count is there. It is equivalent to the set state. It is equivalent to the set state we have in a class based component. But the difference is there here. It is not a keyword. You can have multiple things like in here, if I want to have just to show, if I have another state like name, generally the industry standard is that it is like set name, and then it can be number, it can be anything, like it can be a string like this, it can be string. Okay, I'll close it now. So now one of the major feature of a state, as we know from the class based process, is to we can update the state. Okay, and in the class base, as I told, this is rendered. So now in increment, like what have we write here in class base, we update the state to set state. Here how we'll update through its equivalent, which is this set count, and set count is not a keyword. It can be depending upon anything, it can be anything. So set count is a not keyword, but set state is a keyword. Okay, so I will go here and do on click equal to like this, and set count is count plus one. Okay. And it is as simple as that. Set count is count plus one, and I'll refresh it. So the moment I click it, set count will become count plus one. I'll click it and see this state is working, which was not possible without this earlier in hooks. So update the state. So when this I click on this set count, and this set count update this, actually this return is running again. So that is how in classbase also it done. It runs like the render runs again. Okay, so here the returns run again. There the renders containing the return runs, here the returns run. Okay, so that is there. This is the use state hook. Now the next thing, which next question, this was the first question only. Next question is like okay, so okay, so tell me about previous state, previous state as it is known as, previous state in a functional component, previous state in a hook based functional component. Tell me about previous state in a functional hook based functional component. Tell me about previous state in a hook based functional component. Okay, so that is the question. So let us do that. Okay, so sometime what happens when, so the answer, okay, the theoretical answer is also this. Sometime what happens when we update the state in a faster way, like continuously. So React has a performance optimization. Because of this performance optimization, it will only change the state once. It will put everything in a group and change the state only once. So how do we do that? Okay, so let us first see the see the problem here. So here I will go here and do another view one button, and it will be increment 5, and then I will have a on click handler, and this time I'll call a different function called increment 5, and then I will go here and do a const increment 5 equal to this, and I'll have a traditional for loop here for let I, and this is something which you can also explain to the interviewer on a whiteboard or on a command. Like this, always it is interviewer will be really impressed if you explain this thing on a whiteboard, or explain this thing on when you are sharing your screen. Theoretical is okay. If they take theoretical, you can say what I have told. If they take this kind of practical, which is like a norm, you can do like this. Okay, less than 5 and I plus plus, then set count is, first I'll show what is the problem. Count plus I'll do. So I will think okay, this increment 5 will run, and it will increase the, so increment 5 will run and increase it 5 times. Okay, count plus 1. Okay, 5 times it will increase because it is running 5 times. But if you click it, I'll see only one time it is doing, because as I've told, what React does, this problem is there in the class base also. It does performance optimization. So to solve this issue, see, because this for loop is running continuously 5 times, so it is updating the state 5 times. So React thinks some problem is there, so it would update it only one times for performance optimization. So but if we don't need this performance optimization, because we know that okay, we want to update the state. Okay, so what I'm going to do is like if state is, instead of this count, is if state plus 1. So what it does, it keeps track of the previous state. And see, I'm running a function error. It is much more clearer here, okay, than in a class based. Okay, so I am keeping track of the previous state. So now if I increase it, 5 will increase. Okay, 5 will increase. This one is increasing. This is 5 is increasing. So this is what our previous state. Okay, so now the next question is related to your your use effect. So what is the use effect hook? What is the use effect hook? And the theory answer is like the use effect is hook is used to perform side effects like DOM update, API call, and API calls in functional component. So the next question is again a theoretical question, and what is the use effect, like what is the equivalent of use effect in a class based? So the equivalent of use effect is component did mount, component did update, and there is one more thing known as component will unmount. So it is a we can show all these three lifecycle method with use effect. Actually, through different configuration, we can show. Okay, the component did mount, the component did update, and the component will unmount. These are the three lifecycle methods which we can show through the use effect. And basically, the simple answer is that it is the replacement of the lifecycle methods of class-based component. Okay, so let us do that. So here again, suppose in this we are going to directly see anyways in a functional. Okay, so here suppose I want to, in this example, I want to update this React app, this title. So how do I update this React app? So there is something known as document or title. I should do that, but where I should put it? In a class-based component, we generally put it in a component did mount or component did update, because we want to update it. We want to update it after this we want to update it after this return is run. After this DOM is updated. What you said, DOM is updated, then I want to update it. So let us see how do I update it. So I will, one sec. Okay. So here I will have a, after this only I will have a use effect. So the use effect is like in a different way we have to do it. Okay, it is not like use state. The syntax is not same. So I'll go here and do like this, and then a function call. Inside this is a function call, and soon we're going to see here we can have more things like this. Okay, so first the as use effect is the replacement of lifecycle method. Use effect is generally used in different configuration to show different life cycle methods. Okay, so life cycle methods are like, let me give a brief like here. Like the React is generally what happens in the React. There are two kinds of life cycle methods. Okay, one is like when it runs when the component is like shown for the first time, when there is no changes in the state. Okay, that is known as the mounting phase. Okay, two phases, and one is known as the updating phase. Like this phase is known as the mounting phase, because I'm not touching anything. Initial load, not touching anything. The moment I touch something, what happens? The state get updated. So once the state get updated, some different lifecycle method runs in React. Okay, so that is about lifecycle methods. Um, and basically, component did mount and component did update. Component did mount in the mounting, component did update in the updating phase. Okay. Now here, this use effect, I'll have a document dot title equal to, like, we have this same thing here, hook count. I have to show it with the dollar like this. Let's save it. The hook count 0 has been shown. Okay, because it is running in the component did mount way only, like the initial render. See what it runs. It like after that this component has been mounted, means all of this is done. Then this use effect will run and show this thing. Now, if I click here, you see this is increasing. If I click here also, you'll see this is increasing. So because it runs in the updating phase also, this is known as updating phase. It will run in the updating phase also when the state is changed. So use effect. So another thing, this is another question, like use effect, and like they might give you like this, and they might tell you like show something like this, and tell like use effect in this way in run in close to which lifecycle method. So in this way, in the most basic configuration, it is a combination of component did mod and component did update. Okay, so we'll see different configuration as I'm telling. In this configuration it is a component did mod and component did update. Okay, so that is done. Now the next thing is that okay, so in use effect, we'll see the conditional use effect. It is not based on something exactly. It is based on like okay. So what we are going to do here to see, or the interpreter can ask explain conditional use effect. Conditional use effect means suppose there are a lot of or what is conditional use effect in hook based functional component. So conditional use effect means like if you have multiple states and the use effect should update only depending upon certain states. Suppose I have a another, and the example is like suppose I have another const name comma set name equal to use state and a empty string. Then here also, I want to show the issue first. Okay, show the issue first, and CLG dating document dating document title. Now here after this input, maybe after this I'll have a input type text value equal to name on change handler on change. And if you want to learn all of these things in detail, please see our ReactJS playlist. We take this ReactJS thing every month, so please see some one of the playlist. Okay, this is a 4-day course. Everything will explain in detail for React. Okay, so I will changing it on change e, and then set name is e dot target dot value. So I have two things. Two things I have. One is this input box, and one is this. Okay. So this input box, let me also open the console. So I'll open this console and see updating document title is coming. Updating document title is coming. So here the problem is that, and what is this conditional use effect, which is to solve the problem. See, I will increment this, then this updating document title is happening, which is a good thing. Okay, because this use effect is running again and again. So now you know that the use effect is also running again and again, and I'm getting this console log. Okay, so that is okay. But if I write also something here, then also the document this use effect is running. So in a smaller application it is not important, but bigger application it's a performance issue, because this use effect should only run if the count is updated, not the name is updated. But when I'm updating the name also it is running, because it is the way the use effect runs. Use effect runs the moment you change any state in the program. So in bigger project what happens, I have 10-15 states. I don't want the use effect to run on the change of everything. So what do I do there? In this and the conditional use effect, I will go here and do a comma, and then this bracket, and here I will write count. Here I'll write the count. I write the count, then okay, count, and now let me see this again. Updating document title, updating, writing something, and it is not updating. So this is how this will run. So the next question in your hooks is like, how do we implement component did mount using the use effect? How do we use the use effect only once? Right now, if you can see, like the use effect is either it is running like more than once, like initial it is also running on each update also it is running. But how to run it only once, like component did mount, because it's a very important lifecycle method used to do API calls. So right now the use effect is a combination of component did mount and component did update. So the question obviously is that how to run the use effect as component in mode. So you can, like, a theoretical answer is that you can give the this parameter as an empty bracket. Okay, so how to do that? Let us see. Okay, and the practical example is what I'm going to show, which you can tell the interviewer. Okay, so for that, what we are going to do, we are going to use a different file now. So enough of this hook counter. So let us use a different thing. So that is like a hook mouse dot js, hook mouse dot js, and this hook mouse dot js, let me have it RAFCE, and then here and go and do a first. Let us create something. Then we are going to see like what is it. Okay, save it, and here instead of the hook counter, I will have the hook mouse like this, hook mouse. Okay, save it. Hook mouse is done. Then here I will go and I will have a const x comma set x equal to use state of 0 and const y comma set y is the use state of 0. Okay, now what I'm going to have, I'm going to have here hook h1 showing the position of x as x and position of y as y. Okay, so these two things I'm going to have. Now I'll save it. So the position of x and y will be shown. Okay, so now what I want to do, I want to have an event listener, and that event listener will change the position. Okay, event listener will change the position of x and y. So first thing, I'll have a function called const log mouse position equal to e will be passed to it, and then I'll have a update the set x is e dot find x and e dot client y, e dot client x and e dot client y. Set y equal to e dot client y. So what is this client x and client y? Like e dot target dot value we have this client x and client y also, which keep tracks of the x and y position, x and y position of the mouse. Okay, so this is there. So we're doing this thing. But this log mouse position actually we should call only once. Okay, so we'll have this use effect hook. Now, how to call it once? So first thing, let us have a console log also so that we can verify that it is called only once. So hook use effect called, and we'll go here and do a window dot add event listener. Okay, add event listener you can use in React also. So window dot add event listener and mouse move, in the mouse move, it will call the log mouse position which we have just created. Okay, but if I leave it and do it in this way, so what will happen, this first it will go here, go to the log mouse position, then the states will be updated and it will update it, but then this use effect will run again because the states are updated, and use effect in this way runs in the updation phase also. Updation phase also it runs. Okay, so the updation phase also it runs. So this is a problem that it is running in the updation phase also. So what will happen if it runs in the updation phase? A lot of event listeners will be created, which will then slow down our system, slow down our web app. Because event listener should be only one, which should be keep on listening in the background. This is from JavaScript. Windows not add event listener. It should be only once, not hundreds and multiple. In this case, there will be lakhs of event listeners, which we don't want. So how to like save this thing and run the use effect only when the mounting phase is run, not during the updating phase. So I'll do this comma and a empty brackets. Save it. Now go here and refresh it again. Now see hook use effort called. Then it is getting updated. But next time this hook use effort called is not been called. Only one time this is called, and this is how it is running in the component did mount way. It is running only once in the, but that is the mounting phase. Okay, so that is how it is done. So now actually the next question is that how to implement a component will unmount through hooks. Okay, there is one more lifecycle method known as component will unmount, or how to unmount a component through hooks. Okay, so component will unmount is another thing, a lifecycle method which runs when the component is unmounted, or in Java term when it is killed, it runs at that time. Okay, so let us understand that. Okay, and this is the okay, if the theoretical answer you want to know, this a special like a return statement, so it's a bit difficult to explain theoretically, but in the use effect, because we have only use effect hook, inside the use effect hook we have like a special kind of return statement through which you can implement the unmounting. Okay, so that is there. Let us see it with an example, and most probably the interviewer will ask you to explain it on the whiteboard, which is difficult to explain it like in the theory. Okay, so that is there. So I will have another component here called as mouse container dot mouse container.js, and then go here and do a RAFCE, then const. So this mouse container is there. Then I'll have a const display, comma set. Why I'm creating this? I'm just explaining it. Display equal to use state of this effect of true. Save it. Now this actually I call this mouse container from here. More USC mouse container. Save it. So the mouse container is being called, and now see the mouse container is zero. Now what will happen in the mouse container? I have this display, and based on this display, I will call this view button and toggle display, and here the click equal to set display as not of display. Okay. Set display as not of display. On click, I'll do this set display as not of display. So what will happen the moment I on click? First the display will be true. The moment I click on it, it will become false. So depending upon the display, what I'm going to do, depending upon the display, which is like true initially, I will show the hook mouse component, and this and then operator I'm using, the which is also known as the short circuit operator. Again, if you want to know more, check out React tutorials. Okay, we have a lot. We do it every month, live certification course. You can watch any one of them, or you can attend the next one. Hook mouse I will call, and then the see this hook mouse has been called like this. Okay, so then I'll save it. Okay, now let us see again. Now let us okay, so to see the problem I have to do something here. Okay, so which is the CLG, and hook mouse log. So let me copy this thing, save it. So the problem here is now is that suppose this is there, and see now this whole component, the hook mouse component is also been loaded from where? It's also been loaded from this mouse container. Okay, so now I will go here, and now I will move. See this hook log mouse position is coming. This is coming. Okay. We'll do one more thing here. Again, refresh hook use effect is called. Then this hook mouse log mouse position is coming. So the moment I do a toggle display, what happened? Actually, this component it become false, and this hook mouse component is been unmounted or killed in simple term. It is killed. Okay, it is not there. It is not there anymore. So the whole component is gone. So if the component is containing some code, that should also go away. But see what is happening. Still, this hook log mouse position is running. This code is still running. because this windows.add event listener is added an event listener which is running in the background. We never cleaned it, so it is our responsibility to clean it. If this kind of hundreds of event listeners have been left over, and if when the component is unmounted, then this is also known. There is a term for this which is known as memory leak in an application. It causes huge performance issues. Okay, so for this reason only there is a unmounting thing in React, and that unmounting code. This is known as unmounting code. When this component is unmounted, so that we do through something no we'll have a return here, return, and this is special content inside the use effect, and then clg component enp unmounting code. Okay, and then I'll have this thing window dot, instead of add event listener, we have something called remov, remove event listener, remove event listener also. So I'll save it. Okay, now let us go through the flow again. I'll refresh it. Hook use effect is called, then hook log mouse position is call. At the moment I do the toggle display, this will become false and this will be unmounted. Toggle display unmounted, and see the magic. The component unmounting code is run. Okay, the moment it is unmounted, so it means it killed the add event listener also, remove the add event listener also. So this is how you do it. Okay, so this is there. Now the next thing which we are going to do is actually the okay, so the next question is like what we are not going to do. What is the next question? Give me the question. The question is, how do we do API call through hooks? How do we do API call through hooks? So we know how to do it through class, but how do we do it through hooks? So let us understand that. Let us do a simple get API, and let us install Axios, because it is always good to use Axios than over fetch API. So I will open this, and because you need Axios, or you need fetch API to do it. So npmi axios Axios, and do then. So now, as you might know, in class-based component, we do API call through component did mount. And how do we do component did mount here? So component did mount, we pass the empty bracket. So empty bracket is the key. If someone asks you how to do the API call, just explain me in theory. So you say that we do it through use effect hook, and in the component did mount way, in which or you can skip that part, with use effect hook, and in the second parameter we have to pass a empty array, so that it will be only called in the mounting phase. Okay, that is the answer. So let us hit the famous JSON placeholder post API input and get the data, and it is very easy. Okay, so let me have this thing. What happened? So I will have a new thing. New file is data fetching.js, data fetching.js, and here I will have a RAFCE, and then so I want to get the posts, all the posts here. So how do I get the post here? So first thing is that I need to have a state hook. So state hook here. So const, and there are multiple way to do this thing. Like in Axios also there are two ways, and you can use a fetch API also. But I'm going to show it through Axios. Okay, comma, that post is equal to use state empty this, because this is how we do it. Okay, so post and set post is there. Then how do I do this API call? So I do this API call with the use effect hook. Then use effect hook, and initially also only you should do, or you'll forget it, use effect hook in the component did mount way. Okay, then after that, axios dot get and c p and dot then. So then and catch you I'm going to use. You can use the sync of it also. Okay, so res and clg res. Let us first see how it is coming, and then Axios is always much better to use than the fetch. Axios go to import also, and then the dot catch err and then clg err. Save it. Uh, go here, do the data fetching, save it. Use state is not defined. We got the data, but actually with Axios, what comes, it is like a res. We got this res here, but it is actually res dot data. So let us do this res dot data. Instead of doing it like here, I will directly do it like in the set posts, and I will do a res dot data. So I got the data, but now what? Now I will just show it in an easy way. So here I'll go and click this, and so in React, which show it through the map. So post dot map. See here, I don't even have to do this dot state dot post. Okay, post dot map, and then in post, and then here I can show the like. Let us show everything. Okay, so everything with this. Okay, it will not look good. Okay, so let me only show it the h2. I'll show the title only. Okay, I'll show the title only, so it will be post dot title. You can show the uh, body also, so I'm just showing the post dot title, and then okay, so why not show everything? Okay, so let's have a, I know it will not look good, but it's okay. Okay, so there is one more way here. If you have multiple statements, you can do this, and then I can go here and go here, and then go here, and have a div. It's not working. So this div is not working. I have to write it by hand. It is okay. So this div is there, and inside this div, I will show this h2 and maybe the key is post dot body, and see in this div I need to have the key also, or else in React when you look through it, it gives us error. So I'll have a key equal to the unique thing, which is post dot id. So if I save it, I'm getting all these things, so a title and a body and all these things. So this is how you do API calls. Okay, this is how you do the API calls using the use effect, and you have to use this empty bracket to do it in the component did mount way. Yes. So the next interview question is, what is the use context suite, or how do we use like what is the use of the context API in functional component? Okay, so the use of context API or the use context hook is something like what happens when we, the theoretical answer is it is used to save the pop drilling problem which is there in React, and the like if I answer it like in a code, so it is like, let me share a thing which you can also draw on the whiteboard. It is like See this like this. If app component is there, and I want to pass some data from app component to component C. Okay, only the app component have the data, and that data needed to pass to the component C. So the normal way, what is the normal way? So the normal way is to pass it through props. But props, if I have to pass, so they're attached in this way. So I have to pass from component app component to component A to component B to component C, which is really a wastage. Suppose like there are not two components between app component and component C. There are 100 components between them. Then have to pass through 100 components, and those 100 components don't need that data which I'm passing through props. So that is the wastage. That is the wastage of everything. And so to solve that problem, this context API is there. You can just draw this and explain it. And in code, if you want to see, if they want to see in code, let us show that in a code. So here I will go and do in this component, I'll do a child.js and child.js RAFCE. Then uh, parent.js RAFCE, and then uh, brand brand.js RAFCE. So grandparent.js, save it. Okay, so this parent.js will actually call this your child.js. So we are in a sort of creating this thing, child.js, and this grandparent will call the parent.js. Like this, it will be there. And then finally in this app.js, I'm going to call this grandparent. Okay. So this grandparent. And now you can see this child is being shown. But now I want to pass the data from this grandparent to the child directly. If I want to pass, do it in the props way, I will add some props here. Then that props I'll send here. Then that props I'll send here, and we'll finally receive it here. So, but how do I do it like directly from here? So we use the context API for that. So context API was there in class based also, but it is much better. Like there is a second method which is like much better. There are two methods to use the context API. We're going to see that, and one is a bit tougher, and the second one is a bit easier. Okay. So let us see. Let us use the context API here only. So here I will have a export const user context equal to react dot create context. Okay. So one more thing, React also I have to import React.create context. This is how you create context. And context API have the way of working on context API is that it has got something known as provider and something known as a consumer. Provider, you have to provide from where you are sending the data, and consumer, you have to add where you are consuming the data. So it can be any component, it can be any tree structure, it doesn't matter. Okay. So I'll go here and do a user context dot provider. It's a context dot provider and value equal to, so value equal to Nabendu. So what I am doing here, like I'm doing here is this I have a provider. I have this provider, and I'm passing this value. Okay, this value I'm passing. And one more thing to notice here is this value is actually a keyword. It's a keyword, so you cannot like do it like a name like this. You wanna do okay. In props, you can name it anything, but the value is a keyword, and so it can be used only once. And I'm passing this. This is the data which I'm passing. So this is how you use the provider. Now, how to use a consumer? So consumer, there are two ways to use. One is a complicated way, which is the older way, which is through using through something known as a render props, and other is the most modern way. Okay, so here I'll go, and here this user context dot consumer. user context dot consumer loop. So it is not showing completely. Let me complete it. User context dot consumer. Then here user, and then this brackets comes a lot in this render pass pattern, and this is not the use context hook. Okay, so return and, and component, and I can use the user. Okay. And I will save it, and the Nabendu is getting passed. So this is how you pass it. But this curly bracket way is not that simple, and it's a bit complicated. Why? And it gets even more complicated if you pass more than one thing. Suppose I want to pass some other data here. So how do I pass it? Like this code will not change. Okay. So here I will have a CHA and any channel context, and then channel context. Then I want to pass the data. Like I'll have a channel context dot provider, and then inside this I will have this and parent, and then here I will have a value equal to PWG or channel. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe it. So value equal to the web name. See, the thing that I cannot like pass multiple props here. The value is a keyword. That's why I have to do this thing. Okay, so this way cannot be changed. But the problem is now here. How do I use it? How do I use both the values? And that is where it gets pretty much complicated actually. Okay, so let me cut this thing. And now what happened after this users? I will have a again a return. So see, this pattern is a bit complicated. Then channel context dot consumer like this. Then CHA and your channel like this, and then it's return. So let us make the child component here, and then make here only, and then the CHA and then EL channel. Okay, so the child component, and I'm using the user and channel, but see how much complicated it has become. So this is how complicated it becomes. If I have one more, then I have to have again have this return. So this is very complicated. So to solve this issue, we have this use context hook, which is like very easy to use. So I will keep this code. I will show that in the here. So how do I do this thing? This is also skipping the grandparent. Okay, so as I told, it is very easy. What we have to do, like const, we have to create any variable. It's not a keyword. Const user equal to use context. It's a hook, like the use state and use effect which you have seen, and use user context, and then const CHA and EL channel equal to use context and channel context. Again, it will be imported. Both of these things are there. Then I can do a h1 and use context user and channel like this. Sure. So easy. This code and this code compare. This is so easy. So this is the use context hook. Okay. So this is better. Now the next question is, what is a use ref hook? What is a use ref hook? Why it is used in React? Okay. And it has got a bit of theoretical question, theoretical answers also. So the use ref hook is another way of coding in React actually. And what happens in React, generally we don't access the DOM directly. We use something known as a virtual DOM. So with the use ref hook, we can access the DOM element directly. And accessing the DOM element is a last resort in React. It is not recommended by the Facebook team to directly to use the use ref hook a lot, and you should use it only. See, React is a library, but it's the most popular library. But it might happen that there are some of the things which is not there in React, like the video element. You need a deep access, and then you have to use the ref. There are other lot of other situations also where you need the use ref hook, and nowadays React has got everything. So earlier the use ref hook was used a lot, to do something which was not there in React. Maybe it was there in jQuery or something like that. Okay, so let us understand the ref hooks. And so I will show an example in which there one thing is like that you can do it with your state also. And other thing is like which is something which is not available in the state also. Okay, which is available only in the DOM element. We're going to see that. So like I will do a refs demo dot js, refs demo dot js, and then see, and then here we'll have a input type text. Okay, now how do I use it? Okay, so actually this you can use it through the on change handler and all those things, like a state which we've seen earlier also. I think we have seen somewhere. Hook counter. Okay, we can use it like this also, like on change and all these things. So the normal way and creating a state hook. The other way through the refs which we can use, which is not recommended, but it is much more easier, in which I can get direct access to this thing. How do I get a direct access to this thing? So const, like it is input, so I'll do input ref equal to use ref is again a hook which is like empty, like this. And then let me do one more thing here. Let me comment this out, comment this out, and apps demo, save it, save it. So input box is there. Now this input ref I have given, which is through use ref hook, directly now I have to give a ref equal to input ref equal to input ref. I'll save it. Now what will happen? I can go here and see write anything. So it is working fine. Now the other thing is like what is the other benefit of it? Like suppose I have another thing also here. Mm, it is maybe let's differentiate it with maybe placeholder. Instead of writing the label, let me differentiate it with the placeholder. Enter name and uh, and placeholder the age, the age, and the other thing is okay. This is input ref. This is, let me change this also a bit. Name ref, name ref on age ref equal to use ref this and this age ref. Okay. So one more thing okay, I can access it. It is okay. I can access this thing. That is okay. I can access that thing. That is okay. But the other thing is that I want to, let me have a VR also. I want to, what I want to do, I want to submit it. I want to, like when I submit it, I want to get what the user enter and how to get that thing. Let us learn how to get that thing. Okay, so I will have a, let me change it to a form here, maybe a VR, and input type is submit and value equal to and, and here on submit equal to like this, and then this submit functions I am to make kind of another const submit equal to, it will get the e, and because we have to do e dot prevent right? The prevent default we have to do. And how do I get the data? So the main important thing is, how do I get the data? Let us do a console log and see how do I get the data. And here I get the data through name ref dot current. There is something known as current dot value like this, and each ref dot current dot value. Okay, so like this I'll have. Then I will do a window and 40, and then I will send it. Okay, so now the issue was that this is not a function, so it will be like this, and then I will do a again do and 40, and I will send it, and it will be shown. So this is how easy it is through refs, but it is not recommended. But what is recommended then? What is recommended? Like there is one thing which is recommended. Like if you see this thing, so when it start, I have to take my mouse and click here. So there is a functionality which is available in the DOM, only in the DOM. That is by default it will start clicking here, and that is known as a focus property, but that is available only in the DOM. You have to use it with refs only. So in that case we can use. So what I'm going to use here is the use effect hook, and then in the component did mount way, because I want it to load after the component did mount, and it is a practical example of also this thing. And here I will have this name ref dot current, and then there is a method dot focus. So this is a method name dot current dot focus. Okay. Then I will save it. If I refresh it, see this blinking is already there. This blinking is already there. So this is what it is about this, and this is about the refs. And with this we have also come to an end of our this part, and React is all done, but React is incomplete without Redux and React router. So those are the something which we have to learn. And there is also a use reducer hook. So those are something which we have to learn to give a React JS interview, and that is for the next part. Thank you.